Welcome to BMC Global Live Halilal Health World. It's me Nadia here. There has been a lot of reports as well as survey in the market that lots of male expats been affected with stroke. So today we have with us neurologist from Halilal Hospital, Mr. Roopchand. He is going to give us more details about stroke and the treatment for it. Welcome doctor to the BMC Global Live Halilal Health World.
Thank you.
How are you, doctor?
Yes, sir. I'm fine. It's a pleasure for me to come to a platform like this and give a stroke on an important topic like stroke. So I believe you can start.
Yes, doctor. So please give us more details about stroke. We would like to know and what is stroke and.
Definitely. So what we need to understand is that like any other organ, brain also needs blood supply. So stroke happens when something happens to this blood supply to the brain. So there are practically two types of stroke. Okay, one is there is an obstruction of this blood supply to the brain. This result in tissue damage or brain damage. The second type is there is a bleeding into the brain that usually happens when a blood vessel carrying the blood to the brain ruptures. Okay, this is what primarily we call as stroke. So out of this we can say like 80% happens when there is an obstruction to the blood flow to the brain. This usually happens when a blood vessel is obstructed with clots. It can be a blood clot, it can be a cholesterol clot. The rest 20% comprises of this bleeding. Okay, this is what actually a stroke is. So what happens is that when a stroke happens, that part of the brain affected will stop functioning. So as we all know, the brain is the thing that controls everything in our body. Our vision, the way we talk, the way we move, the way we think, everything is our brain. So when blood supply obstructed, a part of the brain damaged, this results in loss of these capabilities in a person. So in a nutshell, this is stroke.
Okay. So what are the types of strokes?
I just told you, these are the types of stroke. Then again, we can classify it into arterial strokes and venous strokes. This means that arteries are blood vessels that carry oxygenated blood from the heart into the brain. This can get clotted or there can be a bleed from this and this can result in a stroke. This is called arterial stroke. The major chunk of stroke is due to this arterial problem. The second is that the blood has to drain from the brain. That means the blood without the oxygen has to come back, right?
Yes.
So there can be an obstruction to these venous structures also. These are called venous strokes. These are rather very rare also. Okay. These are the types of strokes.
Types of stroke. Okay. So what are the symptoms?
That's very important because a common person should be acquainted with the symptoms of stroke.
Yes.
This is very important because there is a new treatment that is available, but the thing is that the treatment is time limited. You have to give the patient this treatment within a particular period of time. So if the patient is not aware of these stroke symptoms, he or she may miss the chance of getting that treatment. Okay, so the common symptoms are a sudden slurring of speech, sudden facial deviation, sudden loss of balance, loss of vision, okay, sudden weakness of a limb or both limbs over one side. So we can actually say this with an acronym, Be Fast. This Be Fast acronym has been adapted by the World Stroke Association to promulgate the symptoms to the common population. So B means balance, E means eyesight, F means facial droop, A means arm or leg weakness. Okay. S means slurring of speech, and the last T means time. Do not waste time. If you find yourself or your friend or your family, somebody having this kind of symptoms, immediately take him to a hospital with stroke thrombolysis facility. Okay, so I would recommend everybody to keep in their mind this acronym, Be Fast. So if you want, I can tell it again, Be Fast, the expansion. Okay, so B means balance, sudden loss of balance. E means sudden loss of eyesight. F means facial droop. A means arm or leg weakness. Okay, S means slurring of speech. And T, do not waste time, go to a hospital immediately.
Okay, what causes stroke?
This is also very important to know, because if you don't know what causes stroke, we may not be able to prevent it. Okay? The number one and the most important cause of stroke is blood pressure, unmanaged high blood pressure. Just imagine water flowing through a normal pipe at high pressure, and it flows through that pipe for a long time. Ultimately, what happens to the walls of the pipe? It deteriorates, right?
Yes.
Sometimes it can get blocked with debris, or sometimes it can break away. The same thing happens in the brain also. So if you have an option to reduce the flow, you take that and reduce it, right? Just like that, when there is a high blood pressure, your blood is pumping through your blood vessels at a high pressure. This can damage the blood vessels, not only in brain but also in heart, in kidneys, in the digestive system. Since we are talking about stroke, I will talk about the brain. So this usually result in a stroke. The second thing is, again, our blood sugar.
Yes.
Okay, increased blood sugar in a way causes more damage to the blood vessels. There will be a lot of inflammation happening in the walls of the inner walls of the blood vessels. That again accelerates the damage that is caused by this high blood pressure. Okay. Third thing is, as everybody knows, cholesterol. Okay,
Yes,
the
cholesterol.
bad cholesterol. There are bad cholesterols and there are good cholesterol. So increase in bad cholesterol, that usually comes from our diet. So when there is a damaged blood vessels, what happens is that this cholesterol goes and will get deposited in that damaged area of the blood vessels, and usually small amounts of this cholesterol accrues over time, and finally what happens? It gets blocked and a stroke happens. Third thing, our dietary habits, especially smoking and drinking. Smoking generates a lot of free radicals. These free radicals means these are inflammatory products. They causes again vessel damage and augments this process of stroke. Also, alcohol per se increases the blood pressure. So again, that again augments this blood vessel damage. And also sedentary lifestyle. Those who do armchair jobs, especially executives and IT professionals, they practically don't move from their chair for 8 to 10 hours. They'll be sitting like that. This again can cause a lot of damage to the blood vessels and the way our hemodynamic system functions. All these are the causes of the stroke.
Okay, what should the patient do, like when he is having symptoms?
Yeah. So if anybody is having these symptoms, what they should do is, usually in almost all of the countries, there will be a national emergency number. Yes. They can call that number. So the person who is taking these calls will be a medically trained person, and he or she will know where this person can go or where this stroke thrombolysis therapy is available. And they should immediately go there. As I said before, this is a time-bound treatment. So after 4 hours, we cannot give this treatment. So we have to give this injection. This is actually an injection of a medicine called alteplase. So this has to be given within 4 hours. So this is very important to know. First, the stroke symptoms. Second, what to do when you develop a stroke.
Okay.
It's always good to have these numbers in your mobile phones. It's a handy thing. So if something happens, you can call it immediately.
Okay. And what is the latest in stroke treatment?
Definitely. As I told before, this is a clot busting treatment, this alteplase. It has been there for the last 10 years, but there is a lot of less awareness in the general population regarding this treatment. So when a stroke happens, what happens is that a clot goes and blocks an artery. So this medicine is a clot bursting medicine. So what we do is we put it through an IV line. So this medicine travels to the brain and bursts the clots and reopens the blocked artery so that the blood flow to the brain is established. Why this is time bound? Because every minute 1 million brain cells dies. And even if you give after 4 hours, there is a chance of bleed into the brain. This can further complicate things. So we have to give it within 4 hours for the person to have an effective recovery and to prevent a complication that can be associated with the medicine. Okay. Second thing is that the newest or the very latest is the clot removal therapy or thrombectomy therapy. Like in the heart diseases, we put a catheter through the arteries and we reach that clot and we remove it with the special devices. But this we can do within 6 hours, and also in certain studies show that now up to 9 hours we can do in certain types of deadly strokes, because certain strokes are very deadly. If you don't treat the patient will die. In such cases we can do it up to maximum of 9 hours, and fortunately it's available in our kingdom.
So doctor, how can we prevent stroke?
Yeah, stroke prevention is very important. There are actually 2 types of stroke prevention. First is primary prevention. That means you don't have a stroke, but there is a chance that you can get a stroke. Like a person who is already having a hypertension or a high BP, high blood sugar, cholesterol, obesity. In such persons, controlling these things, that is the high blood pressure, the high blood sugar, the cholesterol, reducing the weight, avoiding cigarettes, moderating your drinking habits, physical activity, all these can reduce stroke, or sometimes it can totally prevent a stroke. Okay. Secondary prevention is that you already developed a stroke, and then in that case you need to take medications like aspirin or clopidogrel. These are actually blood thinning medications, so your blood is thin enough and it can circulate properly in the brain, and it prevents any further attacks of this stroke coming again. Okay. Not only in stroke also, but also in heart disease, because both the mechanisms are same. The blood getting obstructed in the brain resulting in a stroke. If the same thing happens in heart, we call it heart attack. It's the same. So it in a way prevents both. So it is the blood thinner medications like aspirin or clopidogrel, and the most important thing is that these medications are for life. For life. Okay. There is no stopping in between unless you are advised by a doctor to stop it for some reason. Okay. Some complications, or maybe the patient need a surgery or a dental removal, and that too may be temporary. Okay. Otherwise, you are supposed to take this medication for life, because the risk that is also continuing for your life. Your diabetes, your hypertension, your dyslipidemia, if you are not careful enough, the obesity, all you are carrying with you, right?
Yes.
So there is the recurrence chance is still there.
Okay. And how will this impact, this stroke impact on a
That's a very good question actually. So see, the cardiac disease, we jokingly, playfully, we talk with our cardiology colleagues that your job is very easy, because a person developing a heart attack, he will either die or come back to his life fully.
Yes.
But we don't have that option. Okay. If the patient don't receive this thrombolysis therapy, he is left with a deficit. He may be bedridden for his life. He may have memory or language problem for his life, and he has to live with it. So that means there is a social impact. His family will be affected because there is no livelihood. He is living again, and somebody has to take care of him. So every aspect of a person is affected by stroke, and I don't think people are aware of it in that way, because more awareness is given to these cardiological issues than stroke, I believe, as a neurologist. So actually we need to give this kind of a push for stroke, because a stroke survivor will have some kind of disability, either cognitive or motor or balance or eyesight.
So it will be there for lifelong.
Yeah. Why? Because see, if it is skin or bone, they regrow. Okay. The neural tissue doesn't have the capacity to regrow. Okay. So what happens is that when a part of the brain is destroyed, the function that part does is gone forever. What we do is we give speech therapy, we give physical therapy, so that another part of the brain take over this function. So it is not the usual guy that is doing the same job. So it will be imperfect for his life.
Okay. So is there anything like the person will recover within these many days or months, or
yeah.
will it be like he will have this for lifelong?
It is not like that. See, this all depends upon the type of stroke, the severity of the stroke, and the comorbidities and the age of the person.
Okay.
Okay, if it is a less severe stroke in a young person without much comorbidities, we can say that 3 to 6 months with proper physiotherapy and other occupational therapies, he can come back to his life.
Okay.
Okay, with proper medications and everything, he can come back to his life. But let's say an octogenarian with a lot of comorbidities, obesity, and he is having a severe life, he may be completely bedbound for the rest of his life without any useful and productive life.
Okay, I have been seen people affected with the left side of their body or the right side of their body, or only the face. So, like approximately within how many days will they recover?
Again, I told you, it depends upon the type of stroke and the treatment the patient received. Let's say if he received a stroke thrombolysis therapy, he's a young guy without much comorbidities, he may recover within days.
Okay.
But then again, a complete recovery may take up to 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
Okay. If it is a very severe stroke in an old patient with a lot of comorbidities, the recovery may be late or he may not recover at all.
Okay.
It is like that. So we cannot just generalize in one case and say that he is going to be like this. But the recovery process is a continuous process.
Okay.
So the better support you give, the better may be the recovery. Then again, the maximum recovery may be within the first year. So whatever deficit he or she may have after this 1 year may be for life.
So, like the physiotherapy really affects?
Definitely.
Okay.
So let's just say we are, for the first time in our life, we are learning to bicycle.
Yes.
So we need to learn that we need to learn the balance, right?
Yes.
Who is learning that? It is our brain that is learning that. It is through a process called neural plasticity.
Okay.
Okay. So one part of the brain is destroyed. So whatever function that part is carrying out is gone. So what we are doing with physiotherapy is that one, making another part of the brain do this function. Second, there is something called spasticity or stiffness that is coming to the affected area.
Okay.
So that is going to further debilitate the patient because it's going to be very painful. It affects mobility or range of motions. So these two things are particularly controlled by physiotherapy.
Okay. So what will be the what kind of a food or the stroke affected person should intake only liquid food or he can go for a solid food?
It depends upon whether his swallowing muscles are affected or not.
Okay.
Sometimes the swallowing muscles may be affected. In that case, he may need a tube feeding or a direct feeding into his stomach. We do it through something called PEG, percutaneous enterogastrostomy. This is very important because sometimes there may be a cultural barrier or the family may be afraid to give through this tube, but it is not like that. It is very important that you follow these instructions. Why? Because the patient's swallowing muscles are already weak. So if you are giving the person orally something, it may go into the air tube rather than the food tube. So this results in pneumonias, recurrent pneumonias. So if you look at a bedridden patient who is taking food orally, you may find that they may develop recurrent pneumonias. This is the main reason and this is the foremost cause of death in such persons.
Okay.
So feeding should be careful. It should be as per the advice of a doctor, and if the doctor recommends a tube feed, follow it.
Okay. And doctor, I want to know, is the family history, if anyone in the family who had stroke?
Yeah.
So is there any chances of the future generation?
Definitely.
Getting it again?
Though there is not a direct connection between the usual stroke, but there is definite family preponderance of stroke. So if there is a family history and there is also family history of hypertension, diabetes, you should be very careful.
Yes, doctor. I would like to know, is there any connection between corona as well as stroke?
In a way, we can say yes, because recent studies from BMJ and all show that there is an increased chance of brain bleeding after corona, especially in young males. So they are attributing this to this blood coagulation problem and inflammatory process that the corona causes. So that may be the reason, and definitely there is an increase in this kind of stroke, and there has been various media reports quoting journals in our kingdom also regarding that increased preponderance of these kinds of stroke in Bahrain. Okay, so we can wind up with, I believe,
Yes.
I will once again tell you those symptoms of stroke that you should be aware of, or you can also tell your friends. This is B fast, BEFAST. B means sudden loss of balance, B. E means sudden loss of eyesight, E. F means facial droop. A means arms or legs weakness. S means slurring of speech. And the last T means do not waste time. Take that patient immediately to a hospital. Okay, I believe we can wind up, and hopefully in our next episode I can elaborate regarding migraine, which is also a common disease affecting so many people, right?
Yes, doctor. So see you soon in our next episode.
Thank you.
So today we are going to wind up from this episode from doctor from Al Hilal Hospital, our neurologist Mr. Rupchand. Please like our Facebook page and subscribe our YouTube channel, and it's me, Nadia, signing off. Thank you so much.